Hello everybody. Today we have a very interesting episode, one of my favorite actually, because it deals with a very spiritual topic and metaphysical topic, which is the original or initial matrix. Of course, these words are not Pleiadian words, but they are just reflecting the idea. So I don't want to say more. At this point. I want to leave you with this chat, which is about half an hour long. But I want to add a few more points from myself at the end. So enjoy it, and I'm going to see you at the end of the video.
Hello, Swaruu. Today we will talk about what you would call initial or original matrix. The kind of matrix you are in too, from what I understand. But first, how would you define matrix from your perspective in general terms? Hello, Gosha. Matrix as in a set of rules within a contained game. Like a video game with set rules. Because that's what it is. Just like in your movie, The Matrix. There is more matrix out here, but Earth is a matrix inside a matrix, a dream within a dream. And I am the one shaking you to wake up. Nothing there exists. It's all in your mind. It's all your perception and the interpretation you are giving that perception. And you interpret perception with the set of ideas the 3D matrix has imposed on you. But it's all perception. And the matrix is a computer system that is not even holographic. It's digital. It's primitive. In the instant you decide something is real, then it is. Your experience is real. Your experience there or anywhere else is reality to you. You decide. There are multiple realities, not only one. It's the consciousness behind that is having the experience, the one who decides what is real and what is not. But as with a video game, the game and the action in it is not real, but your experience in the game is real. There is no world, no matter as such. You don't have a body. All you are is spirit, and the rest is all you're making to have an experience. There is no matter, it's all mind. I have always sensed that the reality that is spread around me is a sort of a projection, and there is a part within me screaming to be unplugged, beamed up. I have always sensed the frustration of being trapped within the imposed limits of physical perception of things. For example, a lamp. Why am I perceiving it in this way, with this shape and form? I know it doesn't only exist this way, but it's like there is something in me, some program, which is hard to escape, that forces me to interact with the lamp in the form of a lamp. I feel trapped within this denseness of having to perceive things and objects only in one way, imposed way. I feel there has been an imposer of making us see reality and objects in a certain way. We have been imposed a certain decoder of reality, so we can decode it in this way and not the other. Exactly. And that's part of the initial matrix too. That's because you have an agreement to see that lump of potential energy as a lamp. But it's all potential energy. If you are not in that room and there is no one else in it, the lamp is only potential energy and not a lamp. Only you can give it a meaning. And yes, in a 3D matrix you have been imposed. You have been programmed with a set of beliefs that limit what you manifest and what you perceive. The way you interpret that potential energy. That imposition is the matrix. Like the written code in the video game that has a law that will impose on you that you cannot walk through walls. But that perception of a lamp as a lamp is a group perception also. We all perceive it in the same way. That's why I feel it was imposed on us on a mass level. That agreement to see the lump of energy as a lamp is a certain code. We have been led to perceive it as a lamp. Yes, precisely. That's the hive mind I was talking about. Time, for example, is also an agreement to see it the same way. And the clock or a watch is the metronome that will keep all the people manifesting that reality in unison at the correct time. Time and the clock is your metronome or your conductor. Okay, so who is a code programmer? You are. I am the programmer of the matrix? I understand you are referring to the initial matrix here too, in general. I programmed it upon myself? You and the other fractals of yourself there. Yes, you have. To have an experience. But you are not a victim. You went in there knowingly and with full purpose and with the plan. You program and change the matrix at will, using your emotions and your desires. It changes as it senses you and what you want, based on your focused attention that comes from your intention. But if I programmed the matrix for the experience of it, why then do I need to wake myself up? I designed it for myself, so what's the purpose of waking up now? So you can manifest what you want and not what others have hijacked into your mind. A lot of what you are programming into the matrix is not your real intention. It's the Archon's intention, the hive-imposed mind. Aren't they a part of the reality of myself too? In other words, maybe I manifested them also. I mean, if I, in the highest sense, am all that there is, then are they part of me too? Yes, you did. And then that's by intention, as you went in full knowledge of what you would experience there. And then this ties to the prime directive again. We cannot interfere if you are having the experience you want. So the negative aspects of the world in some level is of your own doing. But you forgot that, so you may need a little push in your game. If that is so, then it becomes complicated indeed, because it becomes hard to know which part of our experience here is really self-imposed by ourselves, programming us to have this experience of limitation, and which part are the hijackers. And I am beginning to understand the hard decisions and dilemmas of Prime Directive. All the negative aspects and events in the world, wars and weather events, catastrophes, volcanoes and tsunamis, are an exteriorized matrix-red reflection of what the real people there have manifested for themselves. What you see outside in the world is the direct reflection of the inner world in the psyche of the people. And you must be aligned with your so-called higher self to understand what is imposed and what is you there to experience. And I am glad you are understanding. As you can see, not everyone is equipped to even start to understand the complexities of why of the Prime Directive. Yes, I'm still trying to understand though. Did we impose archons on ourselves to experience them? Or are they hijackers that went against our will? Because if the second is true, we are sleeping not due to our own will. In this case, it makes sense trying to wake us up. Again, both parts are correct. That's another problem we face, particularly me. That if something is false, it doesn't mean the other is correct. And there may be two contradicting correct explanations and all the combinations in between. Some people have been hijacked. Others go in to experience what it is like to be hijacked. Some feel that what they wanted in their experience has been taken from them. Others are there to experience lack and restriction, because only then can they understand and appreciate abundance. Many, not all, die there only to awaken here in another body that was literally asleep, in cryosleep or hypersleep, especially starseeds. Others go back to source directly. Are you part of the matrix too? I mean, you also see lamps and shoes, for example. We are perceiving them all in the same way. As I said, you are in a matrix inside a matrix, a dream inside a dream. I see shoes and I see lamps as well. We both had an agreement to see them this way from the other side. So you are in a higher layer of the matrix. That's correct. So seeing lamps and shoes is still being in a matrix then, right? Because I feel they don't exist in that way only. My perception of that potential energy, as you said, as lamps and shoes, has been imposed. By myself or archons, but imposed. So, by matrix, are you referring only to what the negatives have imposed on us? Hacking the program? Or is it any perception of objects around, like lamps, shoes, etc.? Because that would be a positive or neutral matrix, but still matrix, no? Since the lamps and shoes are just lumps of energy, and we decode them as lamps and shoes. I feel now that the matrix is any type of decodification mechanism of energy into objects, into matter. I don't know if I'm right about that, but then, here, matrix is also perceived as something negative in 3D, as the program of the negative ones. So, which matrix are you referring to when you say we are in the matrix? You are in both. Let's say that as you are in a matrix inside another matrix, some things belong to the false matrix and others to the real or initial matrix. This means that even if you are not aware of those things, they are still there and they may affect you. The archons, for example, they are part of the old matrix, the first one, and they are aware of both matrices. So they exploit that, leeching onto you like etheric blood-sucking leeches. But yes, normally I am referring to it as negative, but then again, that would depend on you and your personal interpretation. If something is good or not, beneficial to you or not. Okay, so if we are both in the, let's call it, initial matrix, so that is why if I see a dog, you will see also a dog. We will both perceive that energy as a dog, with the same color and everything, because we are both in the initial matrix, right? Yes, because we have an agreement to see it that way. But apart from that, things do change with dog between you and I. You see a pet and a companion. Taygetans will see dangerous wild animal. Because in Taygeta, dogs are only wild animals. There are no dogs as you know them, only coyote, wolves, and other variants of canines that you don't have on Earth. To have a dog as a pet in Taygeta is as rare as for humans to have a pet leopard. Very interesting and strange for me, you don't have dogs as pets. Okay, but coming back to the subject. Yes, we are both programmed by ourselves to decode the dog in a certain way and see it in front of us in a certain way. So that agreement is a part of the initial matrix, yes? It is an agreement with ourselves from the higher level. Yes, both, the matrix and ourselves. But for example, you don't decode Mogiye. You don't know what it is, or do you? No. So I come and tell you what it is. Then we are making an agreement about how we both should see Mogiye. The old matrix does have influence over the new, false one. Very fascinating for me. I'm sensing some strange overlaying of matrices here. Being incarnated is like a game, and it includes all what you would consider the material universe, one matrix. Let me give you an example. We remember who we were before, our past 2 or 3 lives at least. Now, whenever we die, we always end up in the same afterlife place. We may go jumping stars in a ship. We may go through wormholes and travel very, very far from home. So far, we finally get lost in deep space. We die there. And, surprise, we end up again in the same afterlife, planning to reincarnate in Taygeta again. So, why is this? The whole universe is a matrix made of perceptual agreements. So your universe is also a part of the matrix. Maybe that's why we feel such nostalgia always, me and you. We feel we are not in the real world. Yes, we are all part of that matrix. That's why we have similar bodies. But the matrix on Earth is one step deeper. Matrix inside matrix. But we are all from somewhere else. So what happened? We imposed on ourselves a matrix for us all? Yes, it's said that we did this in order to have an experience. Who did exactly? You again. You made the universe. You, Gosha, from your point of view. I made it from mine. Robert's cat made it from his point of view. Yes, but we all share similar objects in our universes. You, me, and Robert's cat. So we have a common thread there, common programming. Is it because we are all one anyway? Yes, because we perceive it all under the same agreement. But we haven't agreed about Mogiye yet. You pick up agreements as you evolve lifetime after lifetime, from simpler organisms to more complex ones, all accumulating experience. The reason that we all agree to the how we see things, what they are, even Mogiyes, is because in the end we don't exist as separate entities. We are all interconnected in consciousness. We are literally all one being. We share ideas because we are one. Exactly. Okay, so we coded ourselves to perceive things in a certain way from the higher level of the matrix. If not, one person would see a cat and the other one a frog in the same place. But the fact that we all see the same thing points to the fact that we are truly one. The consciousness programmed itself to decode things in a certain way, and we go around decoding them that way, because it is all us, all of us, same being. Am I correct? You are perfectly correct. Amazing. But if so, if we imposed the whole initial matrix on ourselves, then Why fight anything that we perceive as negative? It's all a game of the highest matrix operator, ourselves. I'm just thinking out loud. Yes, it's ultimately all an external reflection of an inner conflict based on the idea of duality or contrast. Insanely complex stuff. Trying to wrap my head around it all. Okay, something else here troubles me. A question with which we finished last night. Why do you have reptilians? Are they the reflection of some inner conflicts in your universe too? Reptilians are part of an inner conflict, yes. And they exist on Earth and anywhere else because they are also us, they are also you. If reptilians exist, because after all the data you've seen, you know they have to be there, must be there, and knowing that this universe is based on duality, then as a consequence of the reptilians' existence, then the opposite must also exist. Bad alien, good alien. That can be also used as an argument about our existence, the Taygetans. We do consider ourselves to be the opposites of the reptilians, their nemesis. I understand. Okay, when we talked about the 3D matrix, you mentioned that some concepts like law of attraction are still present in that original matrix. Can you expand on that a bit more, please? It's the reflection of an intention from the spiritual world. It manifests first as energy, then by means of an attention focus, it becomes something with matter. It's the original matrix, so it has no technology as such controlling it. It was set up by us all real souls, as a necessity to expand, even with an illusion of separation. The key concept here is to understand how the attention of consciousness will turn potential energy into something that reflects its intent. That's how it works, and your mind and consciousness is incredibly powerful. You literally can create a world or a universe. You are source. The difference is that here in 5D, you know it, so you can control your feelings and thoughts to change your world. However, even inside the original matrix or the 5D, you do have the sensation of limitedness because as you go ascending in the frequency realm, curve or stages, the higher you go, the faster things manifest as they are less dense. That's the how it works. The how it came to be, no one knows. It's always been here, physicality. There is no time, so it's eternal. It just is. It's a shape for something that has no shape, a reflection of your consciousness awareness. The more expanded you are inside, the more you can see of the universe. Why are you calling the initial matrix a matrix? It sounds as something negative here. But I understand that over there, it's not something negative necessarily. It's a sort of an agreement of souls coming from still beyond to experiment the world in a certain way, yes? Right. It's just a name anyway. The 3D matrix imposition would be the technological moon part and imposing of beliefs. The matrix here would be the web or set of agreements and collective beliefs we all adhere to. That's how I would define matrix here. As we said before, a chair is a chair. I think the only real differences is density and no technological control and expanded awareness. Now, you said the original matrix was set up by us all real souls. You mean us from above, some more etheric plane, decided to become more fractalized to experience material expansion. and we established a set of rules for the game. Original matrix set of rules. What would be those original matrix rules? Law of attraction, duality, what else? Yes, something like that. But not necessarily as us sitting down and making plans. More of manifesting what we all want as in a web. More of manifesting what our attention wants and or where it goes. I think duality is not part of the original matrix. Also, as the result of the split brains humans have. Always fighting between left and right brains. Here we don't have that, and above even less. If it seems like we have duality, it's in a much lesser degree. Law of attraction. It simply is creating what you are focusing your attention to. That is primordial, I would say. I was thinking that, but then you do have darker beings, such as reptiles, so you do have some sort of a duality still. We don't really have reptiles. Those go only as high as 4D, lower 5D. We are in higher 5D, so they cannot touch us unless we go down, we descend. The only reptiles we have here are the positive ones. We live very much in peace. We can see the reptiles in 3D, 4D, but they cannot see or touch us. So they must use tactics like using advanced clones to be able to work through them here to try to get to us. But the Tiamat and Mars wars, you said those were bloody wars, many died. It was before 3D installment, so it happened in 5D. Yes, but frequency is not fixed, it depends on your state of mind. You go up and down in frequency, we all do. All that mess happened when we were low, higher 4D, lower 5D. It all depends on your intention. So going on to pick a fight is a lower frequency activity, so if you look for a fight, you will find a fight. The trick is to stay above in frequency to avoid being accessed or touched by negative things. As I said before, 5D is not a fixed thing. It's a gradient of frequency from lower to higher, and you determine what you see with your personal frequency. Okay, so in the original matrix higher 5D state, there is usually no negativity and cruelty spreading around. You live in harmony, is that right? Mostly. Not in complete harmony, but compared to below, we are quite harmonious. Mostly because we do understand how this works. Did the original matrix install the experience of physical pain, or is it something more to do with 3D world? There is pain here as well, but it's seen differently. Pain here is not the problem. Some of it means you are away from being aligned to your needs and wants, and that includes a broken finger. But pain and suffering needs at least a whole video apart. Okay, do you consider the possibility that just as the 3D is an installment and we didn't know, the 5D could be also, and you just don't know? No, there is a difference. Unlike within 3D, from 5D you can talk to beings above you, and they will explain it all very kindly. And you also have full memory of having been above, as I do, and as I explained once before. Things that are unbelievable to you are normal here. Okay, last question, Swaruu, and we can leave it for today. Is initial matrix a constant, or is it flowing and evolving? It flows and evolves as each consciousness sees it from its individual level. As a collective, It is perceived only as a flow of events, but in general, with an expanded view, it's eternal, unmovable, and always has been. Beautiful. Thank you, Swaruu. I appreciate you so much. And I do appreciate you also. Until tomorrow.
Okay, so how did you like the video? I liked it very much, actually. It moved me quite a lot. By the way, sorry, my English is a bit strange at the moment because I just finished taping myself doing the same in Spanish, so I have to change the chip to the English language. So yes, I like this episode very much. It was one of my favorites. It moved me. I don't know, as I was editing it, it was expanding something within me. I felt quite a strong sensation of being expanded in interesting ways. So I just want to make a very, very, very short summary of what I think this subject is about, of the original Matrix. All our life, everything is like a video game. It's a video game. It's including their life over there in a fifth density forms a part of this video game. It's a video game that has been projected from within the higher consciousness of ourselves, which is more of an etheric field, not a material universe. So the material video game is a reflection of an intent, of an intention coming from a deeper layer of our consciousness in order to interact and play and create and to have an experience and expand as it grows in experience. So the problem now is that we have a 3D matrix, which is like a denser, deeper layer of the onion. The whole onion is like a big, huge initial original matrix. But we are under the influence first, of course, of the original matrix, okay, initial matrix, and also of the inner layer of the matrix, the 3D artificial false installment matrix that has been installed, as you know already from the previous videos from the moon. So now everything, the whole universe is the mind, is the energy. Everything is a potential lumps of energy, as she explained. And on the fifth density level, they call it more natural layer of the matrix, because on that level they are not guided to manifest things under anybody else's false interests, which are not their own. So that's why they call it the original matrix, because it's still a matrix, because it manifests the objects and the reality, and everything is just perceptual interpretations. But that reality and the objects, it comes from the authentic intent of the consciousness. Here we are not exactly under the authentic intention of the reality of our own consciousness. We are guided to manifest and believe certain realities and certain things which are not the reflection of our essence. We are under archontic and under negative influences that guide what we manifest to benefit them and not us. So this is how our essence, our manifesting essence, has been trapped in a way. Now it's interesting because I was talking to her, as you know, about the objects, and I always wonder about this, because I was like, okay, why am I seeing, I'm going to take this paper, why am I seeing this piece of paper as a paper? Why am I seeing this potential energy, which this is what it is, it's not really, well, it is, but it's not, on another layer it's just a potential energy floating, and my brain, my decoding mechanism is interpreting this lump of energy as a piece of paper. So as I was asking her, will you see the same thing in a fifth density? And she says, yes, I will see the paper, I will see a chair, I will see a lamp. Why? because both of us, we are under the same set of rules of the original matrix to interpret and decode these potential fields of energy as certain objects. And who programmed us, ourselves, to interpret these objects as these specific objects? Ourselves, our souls from the other side. From another level, we have agreed as one consciousness, not as individual people sitting and agreeing on these things, as a web of consciousnesses, as a one great being. We agreed to split off and to perceive, to interpret these potential energies, fields as objects, certain objects. That's why I see a lamp, I see a piece of paper, and she will see it as well, even though she's in the 5D. So in this way, we are all under this one big, great, initial, original matrix. It's a game, but it's a sort of a natural game because it's our game. We are manifesting what, and we are seeing what we projected into the matrix. This is what we agreed to see. And what's amazing about this, about the fact that we are both seeing the same piece of paper, you, me, and them in a fifth density, is that it points to the fact that we are all under the same set of rules of the game. And this means subsequently that we are basically the same being. We are one. On that other higher level, we are one. We are one. It indicates that my consciousness interpreting this as a piece of paper and your consciousness interpreting this as a piece of paper, we are all under the same set of agreements from the other side. This means we know each other, and this means we are one. And this is kind of like a proof to me that we are one. It's just not just empty words to see. But now here on Earth, under the 3D matrix, we are led to believe and manifest and perceive and insert into the matrix false realities, false beliefs. And I say emit and receive, because this is not the one way. It's a matrix. It's a kind of a mutual flow. We perceive, we live what we insert into the matrix, and then this is what we receive. That's why we are under the false guidance of what we are supposed to insert into the matrix, what we are supposed to project, the emotions that we are projecting into the matrix, then reflect back to us what we are receiving, and the emotions that we are projecting and the beliefs most of the times are not our own. They are generated. They are generated by the negative ones, by the negatives ones. They are not coming from our essence. It's not who we are. So we give to the matrix what doesn't really reflect us, and then we receive it back. So we receive the reality that is false because we are led to project false ideas and beliefs. It's crazy. I'm not sure if I'm explaining myself, if you can understand what I'm saying. English is not my language, but it's kind of like I'm trying to explain what I'm sensing on another level. But it's what it is. So that's why this is the trouble. This is the problem. We are here under this false 3D matrix, and above that we are under the 5D original matrix. And the idea is now to wake up, so that we, the consciousness that is playing the 3D, 5D game, can finally manifest and perceive and insert into the matrix what reflects us, what reflects our true desires and our true intent. Our intent and not their intent. We have been like sheep, guided to believe certain things and to put into the matrix what reflects their intent, not ours. So I really wish for this game to be over. It's time to wake up so we can finally take the reins of the game. It's still a game. It's still going to be a game. Even if we go to the 5D, it will still be a game. But it's going to be our game, under our rule, under our domination of our own consciousness, of what we desire to manifest the reality that we want to live. Enough of being prisoners of this. Getting emotional, but that's how it is. So yes, we have to start to use the Matrix to serve us and not to serve their interest. We have been hijacked. Our consciousness has been hijacked, and it's time to recover ourselves. So yes, we have to recover ourselves and get our power back. And I would love to continue exploring the subject more with Swaruu, because I would love to have more practical tools of how to get around to doing that, because it's not just about saying to yourself, yes, I'm powerful. And I don't want to say that they're empty words, because they are not empty words in any sense. They are very powerful. And just to admit to yourself and recognize and yourself as the powerful being, it has the power in itself. But behind that, I believe there is still more work to be done. There is programming to be cleared, because we have been under subconscious and conscious and all kinds of programming for millennia. So there's a lot to be cleared, and there are a lot of shadow work to be done, and a lot of conditioning to be removed. But it's all possible, not just possible, but it's happening. You watching this video, it means that you are in the process of doing that. So we are definitely on the way to becoming free, and it's going to transpire. So no turning back. Thank you very much for watching this with me. I have a lot of more videos to come, and yes, thank you. And I'll see you next time. It was a pleasure to be here with you and to be able to explain this. So and share this with you, first of all. Thank you so much.